Good morning and welcome back, everybody, to Brew Pod Between the Lines podcast. This is your host, Caden Adsit. And happy Friday, everybody. Hopefully everybody has been surviving the work week, whether you may be at school or work, just surviving the week in general. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Hopefully this weekend, able to get out and enjoy some of the nicer weather that we're supposed to be having. Today should be pretty nice. Looks like tomorrow might be a little bit colder, but then Sunday should warm up carrying into Monday. And so should have some pretty nice weather here coming up pretty soon in Wisconsin. Hopefully everybody is able to get out and enjoy some of that. But how about the Milwaukee Brewers? Picks up a big home victory last night against the St. Louis Cardinals. Still have to talk about that final game of the series against the Kansas City Royals. I didn't end up having a chance to record a podcast for that game. And to just kind of wrap up that series, I ended up getting pretty busy with some schoolwork and whatnot. But, just want to kind of touch on that a little bit here. We've got a big return from Christian Yelich. We had talked about in the last episode. We see him come back in that final game against the Royals. He has a really big game yesterday against the Cardinals. So really good to see him back in the lineup, still swinging a good bat. We're going to have an MLB debut that we're going to talk about here later today on the pitching end. So some pretty good excitement there. Going to see another MLB debut. We've seen plenty of those. Obviously, a couple of those on opening day with Churio and Dunn. And then we had Tyler Black just this last week. And now we're going to see Gazer come up from AAA to make his first major league start as well. So a lot of exciting things out of these young players that we've seen thus far. Hopefully able to get some more of that, but we'll touch on that as we talk about the upcoming matchups here in the later on in this episode. And yeah, just a lot of stuff to talk about, some good things, some bad things inside of each of these games. But with that, we will kind of dive in to first, we're going to talk about the roster move. So we see Yelich, like I said, he's reinstated from the injured list. Really exciting to see him come back. Hopefully, he's able to have plenty of time on the injured list, have plenty of time off, and get that back healthy. I was kind of talking to some other people on this topic a little bit, and I think, in my mind, what would make sense and part of the past struggles that we've seen with Yelich is maybe he was trying to battle this back injury, while playing. If you're playing with an injury of any kind, especially the lower back, that can throw off a lot of things. Just think about the torque that you use when you're rotating your hips. For swinging the bat, obviously running, you use a lot of those lower back muscles. So I wonder in the past when Yelich has struggled, if maybe that's something that he's been dealing with on and off. We saw last year he was healthy the entire year, pretty much a couple of short stints, but for the most part he was healthy, and look at the output that he had, offensively. So I think the key to Yelich, obviously to any player, keep them healthy, but especially that lower back to him. And I think he's dealt with this injury enough, it seems like, that he's able to understand when it's bothering him, understand when he needs to take days off, and not come back too early, too. Because if he comes back too early, re-injures that, who knows where that could lead from there. You might see more of a 60-day injured list as opposed to the 10-day or 15-day injured list that he was just on. So yeah, like I said, really good to see him back. He ends up going 3 for 4 with an RBI triple in that game, that first game against the St. Louis Cardinals that we'll talk about here as we move into those games. We did see with Yelich being reinstated, Tyler Black gets sent down to AAA. And I think a little bit of an interesting move here on this end. I think I personally would have rather seen Oliver Dunn or Giago Vieira even moved to AAA. Vieira's had a little bit of a struggle out of the bullpen. Had a pretty good outing yesterday through a couple of innings of scoreless ball, but right now he's sitting at a 5.12 ERA, so not great, but he's also been for the most part just kind of in a role of filling some innings in later games if we're losing by a large amount, which hasn't really happened too much this season. I mean, most of the games that Vieira has pitched have still been in parts where we're trying to stay in games or stay close or whatever it may be. But I think that was maybe one of an option, let him get a little time in AAA. he's shown the stuff with his velocity, and he's got a good slider. So I think he's got some good stuff to be at the major league level, but maybe just needs to clean up location a little bit, or just, I don't know if there's something in his delivery that makes it obvious for hitters to kind of know what's coming, but seems like in every other outing he's given up surrendering a run or two here or there. For the most part, I think a lot of the high ERAs comes from that one outing on April 27th. He gave up 4 runs in 1 inning of work against the Yankees, so definitely a little bit from there. But I think personally the guy that we should have seen sent down to AAA, from my standpoint anyway, I think Oliver Dunn, probably the better option here. I don't know. I've been thinking about it a little bit. I understand Tyler Black. He's, he had a good first game, then he's kind of struggled since then. But I think he's had a lot better plate discipline than Oliver Dunn. Right now, Oliver Dunn, after a hot start to the season, he's hitting .214. And I was looking at some of the numbers last night. 37.4% strikeout rate. Yikes. That 37.4%, anything really above 25% for strikeout rate is not really good for major league level. So definitely something that he's going to have to clean up. I do understand that a lot of times right now he's being put in pinch hitter roles rather than getting consistent at-bats in the starting lineup, but still, 37.4% strikeout rate to go along with just a 6% walk rate right now. So his plate discipline, which he's had a really good track record of this in the minor league system, seems to be struggling with that a little bit, which I don't know, exactly what it is. Obviously, major league arms are a lot more devastating than minor league pitching, but I think this is something that he's going to have to work on. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him sent down to AAA, and I really don't even think it would actually hurt him to get sent down. We saw that with Turang last year. He got sent down. We saw that with Weimer. He's been back and forth the last couple seasons. So sometimes just getting these guys adapted to, success in the major league level, sometimes they can go down to AAA and spend a little bit more time on a specific thing in their mechanics or something like that. So I don't think that would be a bad thing to see him go down at some point, get a little work in the minor league system, get some more consistent at-bats, and hopefully get called up, because he does definitely have some good stuff. He plays a great defensive third base. He's really great in the defense wherever you put him, seems to be, but I think offensively we need to see a little bit more output from him. Right now, actually, kind of comparable to what Turang was last year, if you think about it. Played a great defense, but really struggled at the plate. So I think there's room for, obviously room for improvement. There's still some positive things that we see from him to build upon. Just think that maybe a little short minor league stint wouldn't be the worst thing in his case to kind of fix up some of those things. But nonetheless, we see Tyler Black option back to AAA Nashville, and I'm assuming at some point we'll see him called back up as he just seems like a pretty energetic and athletic player that we're going to need at some point here down the stretch. So that's kind of moving on from that point with Yelich coming back. Going into Wednesday's game, don't want to spend too much time on this in that Kansas City Royals game. Just want to touch on some of the big topics. Obviously, we see Yelich return. He struggles in this one a little bit, goes 0 for 5 in his return in the 3-hole. Not too much of a surprise. The guy hasn't seen major league pitching in a long time, and he's having some, batting practice only does so much for you. So to actually see some arms, and then also to see the Royals starter and their ace Brady Singer out there as your first pitcher back, not an easy task by any means for him. Still hit some balls hard, so still some positive things to build upon, and we did see that here in last night's game. But another exciting thing, we see Bryce Turang. He gets moved to the leadoff spot in the Brewers lineup, something that the Brewers have been bouncing back and forth with, having a little bit of struggle in this leadoff spot. Frelick hasn't been necessarily thriving in that leadoff spot. We've seen Oliver Dunn thrown in there at times, Jackson Chourio. All three, which of those guys are struggling to get on base consistently right now. We've seen Chourio start to hit with a little bit more consistency, getting some singles, getting some putting some much more productive at-bats, not striking out as much right now, which is really good for him. Good to see him kind of battle through some of these hardships in the major leagues right now. And only thing for Churio right now, not really getting much in the extra base department. OPS isn't really skyrocketing by any means. But right now, he's battling through a funk. I think big thing for him is let's try and even out some of those poor at-bats with some base hits, maybe draw some walks, which he's been doing. And he's shown, no doubt, the threat that he puts on the bases when he gets on. Several stolen bases already this year, and I believe he ranks second on the team so far this year. So just a really good thing from that standpoint to build upon for him. But yeah, we see Turang. He goes 3 for 4 with 3 doubles in this game in the leadoff spot. So really good to see him kind of carry in the success that he's had so far this year into that leadoff spot. Last thing you want to see is Pat Murphy move a guy into the lineup where they're not typically used to or accustomed to and then struggle. We've seen that from Yelich in the past, kind of get moved around and then he struggles. But so far, Turang in the first 2 games in the leadoff spot looks like he's thriving. Obviously, we all know when he gets on base, he poses a massive threat on the bases, currently second in the major leagues in stolen bases behind Elly De La Cruz, which no surprise there to see him up top with over 20 stolen bases already on the season. Just an incredible athlete and some insane speed on the base paths. But Turang's, hanging right there. He's proven himself as one of the more elite base stealers in the major leagues. And I think we would have seen a lot of the same thing last year, which we did, but his lack of ability to get on bases last year kind of kept him from getting those high stolen base opportunities. But this year right now, with hitting over 300 right now and his approach seeming to be much improved, we've seen just a lot and a much more increased ability for him to pose a threat on the bases. So really good game for him. And just kind of a back and forth game in this one. Brewers do a nice job fighting back at times. We see Gary Sanchez. He hits his 5th home run of the season, so he continues to hit very well, his 2nd home run of that series. So really good to see him kind of, put a little bit more pressure on some of these pitchers and get some good swings in the offensive category after pretty much a very mighty struggle to begin the year. But he's doing exactly what we brought him over here for, really playing a pretty good catcher position. Did have a little bit of trouble there at first base in that game, but nothing that cost the Brewers too much in that category. So pretty good game from him all told. We see Joe Ross, unfortunately, handed his 4th loss of the season. Not too bad of a start in this one. Goes 3 earned runs, gives up 3 earned runs on 5 innings pitch. And I think the big story, kind of going away from the pitching, we lose this one 6-4 eventually. But I think the big thing in this one, and the big takeaway for me, Brewers offense goes 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position. So just another one of these games right now that we've seen in recent struggles. Seems like the Brewers do a really good job of getting guys on base, posing some threats through the middle part and later portions of these games, but just not able to get that next big hit to either tie the game or put them over the top with the lead. So, something that we're going to need to clean up here as the season goes on, something that the Brewers were so good at to begin the season, but definitely struggling with here in the more recent times. So 3 for 13, you'd love to see, more of the, I guess hitting with runners in scoring position in the 500 category, obviously. Going to produce some more runs in that case, but not too much. Still, Brewers rank really high right now with batting average with runners in scoring position towards the top of the league in that category. But just something that we've seen in the recent times, which I think are leading to some of these losses and would definitely help us produce some more runs and help us in these close games that we've seen, through and through the season so far. So that just kind of wraps up the Royals. Not too much more to talk about there that I wanted to touch on. Moving into yesterday's game, very exciting game and a really clean game for the Brewers on both sides of the ball. They win this game 7-1. We see Tobias Myers pitching in this one. He was searching for his first career victory going up against the St. Louis Cardinals, who the Brewers swept earlier on the road in this earlier this season. going up against Sonny Gray, who has been dealing this year. Brewers handed him his one loss on the season so far, but moving into this game, he was 4-1 with a below 1 ERA. So prior to this start, but Brewers do an excellent job getting to him early. They put up 3 in the first inning on a home run from Rhys Hoskins and a wild pitch as well. And just kind of a crazy first inning, to be honest. We see first and second, 1 out, after Contreras and Yelich both hit missiles off of the bat. A lot of hard contact off of Sonny Gray in this one, so excellent job for Brewers in that standpoint. But just a tailor-made double play ball from Willy Adames, hit to Nolan Arenado, who is, I'm just going to say it, he's the best third baseman in the league, no doubt there. Defensively, he's just so elite at third base and just an excellent third baseman. Tailor-made double play hit to him. He goes for the tag on William Contreras, who, heck of a play by him to avoid the tag, and then goes the long way to first base to just record what was just the 1 out. And I think with Willy Adames' speed, kind of in the middle of the pack, and the way that this ball was hit, it would have been so much easier for Nolan Arenado to turn the ball, go to second base, go to first base for a 5-4-3 double play, but instead he tries to tag William Contreras, which heads-up play by him to avoid that tag, and only record the 1 out, which set up runners on second and third, 2 outs with Rhys Hoskins. We see a wild pitch from Sonny Gray to score the first run of the game. And then how about Rhys Hoskins? How strong is he? He goes to right center field with a 2-run home run, puts the Brewers up 3-0. And really after this, the Brewers never looked back in this game. We saw Jake Bauers. He added his 3rd home run of the season. He hits a solo home run. We see Joey Ortiz. He hits his 3rd home run of the season. Goes back-to-back, starts with a home run. So just some really good offense in this. Like I said, a lot of hard contact, drawing some walks off of Sonny Gray. And all told, just a really good offensive approach after we saw Sonny Gray record, I believe it was 10 or 12 I think 12 strikeouts against the Milwaukee Brewers in that first start. So much improvement, only recorded 6 in this one. Still has some elite stuff. And I think, I'm sure Sonny Gray was a little bit disappointed in his locations on some of these pitches, leaving a middle. But the Brewers did an excellent job making him pay for those mistakes and getting the long ball working in this one. Tobias Myers, pretty good start in this one. He goes 4 innings pitched, 4+ innings actually. Got into that 5th inning and saw a little bit of a struggle. Home run ball hurts him again, giving up a home run to Lars Nootbaar. So he still has allowed a home run in every start so far this season, at least in this game only of the solo home run category. But in that 5th inning, see a little bit of a struggle. Bases loaded, nobody out, with Jared Koenig coming in to replace Myers. And how about Koenig in this one? He ends up going 2 innings pitched, no earned runs. But how about his ability to go through the heart of the Cardinals lineup, give up no earned runs in that 5th inning, and escape a huge jam, which at that point, it's only a 5-1 game, and the Cardinals are threatening huge to come right back in this one. He gets Lars Nootbaar to ground out to third base, heads up, great play by Joey Ortiz to throw him out at home, gets Nolan Arenado to pop up to third base in foul territory on the first pitch, so huge out there. And then with 2 outs and the bases loaded, we see a fly ball hit by the Cardinals batter, which I thought, off the bat, I thought it was gone. I thought we had a tied game, but just got it off the end of the bat a little bit, and a fly ball out to Jake Bauers to get out of the jam and surrender no earned runs in this one. So excellent job by Koenig here to get out of this one. I think if there's one thing to take away from Tobias Myers in his start, he did walk 4 batters again once again today. So definitely a little bit of a struggle. Saw a little bit of the same struggle in the minor league system for him. So something that he's going to need to clean up here a little bit. Just not allowing the free bases for the Cardinals. Kind of allowed them to try and claw back in this one. Luckily for the Brewers bullpen, able to lock them down and not surrender any more runs in this game. So, and how about also to go along with this, bouncing back to the offensive side of things, how about the Brewers' superstars on offense? Contreras, Yelich, they combined for 6 hits and a really every single at bat, it seemed like they were just hitting missiles off of the bat, catching a lot of barrels in this one through and through the lineup. But some of the exit velos on these hits, 109 miles an hour off the bat from Yelich. He hit another foul ball that was 109 miles an hour. Contreras doing what he does with the hard hit rate, has several balls hit over 100 miles an hour on this one, including the one that ended up resulting in a line out. So just some great approaches from the superstar hitters for the Milwaukee Brewers. Great to see Yelich come through with a huge game, goes 3 for 4, including an RBI triple, which also shows that back's doing good. If he's running, sprinting at a high pace, shows that back seems to be healthy and seems to be doing good there. So yeah, that kind of covers, I know, a lot to talk about, but a lot of excitement and a lot of positive things in this last game. We also did see one more thing. We saw Turang. He collects his 15th stolen base of the season, 32 for 32 in his last 32 stolen base attempts. So that's a franchise record for the Milwaukee Brewers. So going back to last year, like I said, if he gets a base hit, he draws a walk, you can almost assume that he's going to steal the base at some point. And obviously, he's very successful in this category. And so a single or walk automatically almost turns into a double with Bryce Turang. And I think this is exactly why we wanted to see him moved in to the leadoff spot in the lineup, and why I think that is such a smart move by Pat Murphy. And so far, it has paid off in the last couple games. So yeah, okay, now that I kind of got through that, like I said, a lot to talk about there. Sometimes I feel like I'm just going on and on, but a lot of stuff that I also wanted to cover, a lot of important topics that I think are worth talking about. And one guy in specific in the recent times that I wanted to talk about, I did see in some of the fan pages on social media and other places that were talking about when Tyler Black got optioned to AAA, who were some of the other guys that could get sent down. I already talked about Giago Vieira. Oliver Dunn, I think, was one of the more obvious ones. But I did see Joey Ortiz's name sprinkled in there a little bit, and I was just really confused. Personally, Joey Ortiz is actually becoming one of my favorite players on the Milwaukee Brewers. He brings a lot of energy to the team. He's got a great plate discipline. He brings some great at-bats to the plate, and overall just, I think, has a great approach at the plate as well. We did see him have some errors at third base early in the season, but I think he's been playing a much more sound defensive third base position as of late. He's been doing a great job. We saw a couple of excellent plays in this one, saw several excellent plays in that Kansas City Royals series with him at third base. So I just saw that name sprinkled in there, and I'm thinking, what are these people thinking about? But that was just from my standpoint. I think Joey Ortiz, he's done a great job. He's hitting .268 at the plate right now. Like I said, he's got home runs in back-to-back starts. Currently a .384 on-base percentage, so his walk rate is really good, especially for him being in his full rookie season. Still considered a rookie this year, with him only playing partial of the season last year with Baltimore. So, like I said, I think he's shown a great improvement. He did struggle at the plate a little bit to begin the year, which makes his .268 and .384 on base, .268 batting average and .384 on base percentage that much more impressive. Because to be able to recently be much more efficient at the plate, could put together and string together much more positive at bats and impactful at bats, just a really good thing to have for him. Especially another guy to have kind of towards the bottom of the lineup to get on base, to get some rallies going. Just a really good guy. And I love the mustache. He rocks a great mustache, I think. And all around, just a really good player. I've really, really grown to like him as a ball player and just as a guy in general. His interaction in the dugout is fantastic as well. So just another one of these guys that, for the Brewers, that you love to see in the dugout and on the team, part of this Brewers staff. So yeah, so with that said, kind of going over all of those topics I wanted to talk about, we'll move into some of the pitching matchups that we have here coming up in the remainder of this series for the St. Louis Cardinals. We got 3 games here to finish up before hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates at home. Going to face them for the second time this season. So today we've got Lance Lynn, the veteran righty for the St. Louis Cardinals. Nothing too interesting here for him. Just a veteran guy going out there, does a great job with location. He's got several forms of the fastball. Nothing in the high velocity point, but like I said, he just does a great job of working each pitch off of each other. Great with location. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully the Brewers are able to barrel him up like they were able to barrel up Sonny Gray in yesterday's game. So just going to be interesting to see the approach from them. Lance Lynn has had some pretty good starts over the years against the Milwaukee Brewers. I was actually there recently in the last couple of years at one of the games when he was with the Chicago White Sox, when he was putting up numbers that were for throughout the middle of the season in the Cy Young discussion there for much of that season. And he's definitely got some electric stuff. He's great with his location, kind of great with playing the minds of the hitters, keeping them guessing. So it'll be interesting to see the Brewers' approach in this one. And then, like I said, wanted to talk about this. We see Robert Gazzer. He's going to be making his Major League debut, left-hander, 24-year-old for the Milwaukee Brewers. Not so great in 3 starts in the minor leagues. So far this season, I think he was dealing with a little bit of an injury there early in the season, but we were totally expecting him to be called up at some point this year. And going to be good to see another guy, another young arm come in to kind of fill this hole of a Brewers starting rotation that they have right now. Just trying to find some more pieces that click, some more pieces that work in this starting rotation. Brewers acquired Gazzer. He was part of this Josh Hader trade in 2022. So he's been kind of working his way through the minor league system since then. Only 22 years of age at the time we traded for him. Now up to 24. So going to be interesting to see how he does. Hopefully he's able to give us some innings after we had to use some bullpen in that game yesterday with Tobias Myers only giving the 4 innings of work there. So hopefully he's able to come in, have a pretty good start. It'll be interesting to see him face kind of a really struggling Cardinals offense right now. We saw a little bit of that in that series that we had against them on the road in St. Louis, and then obviously something that we saw carry in yesterday. Not great with hitting with runners in scoring position, and obviously only able to produce the 1 run after the Brewers won 7-1 in this game yesterday. So moving on from that, Saturday's matchup, we'll see Freddie Peralta for the Milwaukee Brewers after he dealt his suspension after that incident with Jose Siri and the Tampa Bay Rays. So hopefully he's able to bounce back after a little bit of a wild outing for him against the Chicago Cubs. He'll be going up against Kyle Gibson, who had a really good outing against the Milwaukee Brewers here earlier this season in St. Louis. Brewers were still able to squeak out a win in that one, but he's been pretty good. ERA sitting at about 2.5 so far this season. So really good things from him. Another one of these veteran right-handers for the St. Louis Cardinals, part of their veteran starting rotation, and he's producing some pretty good numbers, a big pickup for them in the offseason. And then Sunday, series finale for the Brewers and the Cardinals. We'll see Miles Mikolas, who the Brewers hit around pretty well to begin the season in St. Louis. He'll go up against Bryce Wilson, who, again, has just been outstanding for the Milwaukee Brewers so far this season. Hopefully he's able to produce more of the same, and currently sitting at an ERA also right around 2.5. I think it's at about 2.4 so far this season. So a lot of good things from him, and hopefully he's able to continue his hot pitching that we've seen so far this season in the starting rotation. So with that, not too much more that I want to talk about here in this one. A lot to cover, kind of covered a little bit of everything that I felt was necessary. So with that, BrewPod Between the Lines podcast is always available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and other mainstream podcast sites. So please feel free to listen to this podcast from wherever it is you may like in the future. I can always be reached on social media using @brew_pod on Twitter, or by searching BrewPod Between the Lines podcast on Facebook or Instagram. And lastly, just hopefully you guys are able to enjoy the weekend. Hopefully you guys got through the work week or school week, like I was mentioning earlier, with no problems. And hopefully you guys are able to enjoy some of the nice weather we're going to have, and just enjoy the weekend off in general. So with that, we will see you guys next time. Talk to you soon. And of course, go Brewers!